packed. There's no in between.
For all the fursuiters coming in, if you want to shed your head and line it up in the front, you're more than welcome to.
This is a safe headless
For
spot.
all the parents with little children, I'm sorry.
We're not really sorry.
My own kid is broken to this already, so.
This is normal to me, so it's not weird. It's totally normal.
You guys can start whenever you're ready.
We've got a sorcerer in the house.
That's what you should have called it. My Little Pony, Friendship is Breaking the Magic.
Friendship is breaking magic. We are being recorded.
Anybody bring short pile fur?
I can just point at Pinky's head.
I've got the long pile. That's all I've got. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, it works. I don't know.
Good to go? All right, everybody, welcome. How is everybody doing today? Come on, come on, come on, come on. All right. We're a bunch of character actors up here, so we're going to get you into this, all right? Welcome to Toys to Life, Ponysuiting 101. This is all about designing, crafting, and creating this. So, please hold all your questions until the end. We cover a lot of stuff. We're going to do it kind of quickly. We will have this presentation available online. I know there's going to be a video of it too. If you got any questions, we got a period at the end. You can ask it. We also got some touch and feel. If you want to come up and feel and look at something a little closer during the Q&A, just work with one of us. We'll be more than happy to help share and show you what we do. So with that said, let me introduce, or I'll let our panelists introduce each other. I'm J.R. Stanley, Lightheart, or Pinkie Pie on the very, very, very end down there. Gala Pinky, kind of, yeah, that's me. All right.
I am Judson Hudson, yes it does rhyme, and I'm cosplaying as Echo the Bat Pony. Yeah.
I'm Joshua Mann. I just wear Octavia.
I'm Quentin Fox, a.k.a. Cyclone Spin, a.k.a. Golden Gates. And I am the gray one right up in front somewhere. I don't know where they put it. Right in the middle. Perfect.
And I am Josie Wolf, and I am Flufflepuff somewhere down there.
My name is Steve Shirts, aka Strike Pony. I fursuit as King Sombra, Flash Sentry, and Troubleshoes.
And our audience members, or our crowd peoples.
Hello. Okay. Hi, I'm Rory. I don't actually have my suit, but I help construct things, and I'm also a handler like 24/7. So we'll get more on that later because
And second place in the villains category as Queen Sombra yesterday. And Eric. Eric.
What is that? That's not.
That's me.
Oh.
Eric as Hoovesy, Master Brownie Troll. Okay, we need to get going, so. There's Eric, our crowd gopher. All right, so without further ado, let's kick this off. So, you guys want to talk to this?
Let's do it.
All right, so let's go over a little bit of terminology first. So, fursuits, mascot suits. Is there a difference? No. So, most of us consider ourselves mascot suits over fursuits. Mascot suits are typically more trademark characters, so Pinkie Pie, Dr. Hooves, everything you're used to. Where fursuits are usually used more in the case of original characters and OCs in the furry fandom.
And the difference between mascot suits and fursuits is mascots are generally one size fits all. So if you have multiple people and you want to wear the costume, you can usually get away with that. But fursuits, in terms, is constructed to your body and specifically your body.
And usually mascot suits are like sporting events and stuff like that, and they're usually on the cheaper end because they're mass produced. But in all reality, it's just semantics. So. And here we go. All right, bronies versus furries. This is always a great thing to discuss. I came into the furry fandom through the brony fandom, and that was about 3 years ago. I had a lot of the same misconceptions that a lot of people did when they think about it. None of that is true. They are an amazing group of people with an amazing diverse set of cultures, genders, everything. And don't believe everything you hear. Please don't. But then again, we're bronies, so you guys, we get it enough as it is too anyway.
I came through on the opposite spectrum. I was a furry first, and I found ponies through the furry fandom. And yeah, we have an amazing amount of parallels that both fandoms share. So don't be scared to venture into the other one just by negative connotations that society puts on it.
Yeah, I was also a furry before I was a brony, and in terms of actually making things, there's a lot of tutorials that furries make that apply to ponies as well, because I know there's not a lot of pony tutorials out. That's why we're here to help you guys. But if there's something that you guys can't find and there's something that it's hard for us to explain, go and look under some furry tutorials and see what you guys can find.
And one thing here I want to mention before we go a little bit further, all of us up here are incredibly diverse genders and life places, I guess. I'm 34, married, 2 kids, engineering for a military contractor. Josie here.
Yeah, I'm 17. I'm still in high school, going into senior year. Yeah, I'm just trying to work on commissions and whatnot, trying to build up a reputation.
It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you do. If you like it, have fun with it, roll with it. As long as nobody gets hurt, it's all good. So. All right, so with that said, is this for you? I have a great example here. So this is a very physical and mentally demanding thing. If you've never worn a confined suit before, there are a lot of things to take in mind. Heat, can you tolerate the sweat in 100-degree temperatures? Even as of last night, we've had some emergencies where a couple of our guys, people we know, had to be medically taken care of because they pushed themselves a little too hard. Don't get to that point. It's great to test it out to see if you can hit that limit.
Yeah, the thing about these suits is that once you put it on, if you're wearing a full suit, these things can reach 130 degrees in about 90 seconds. So it's very hot, it's very strenuous. You sweat buckets in these things, but it is fun. So
Always
it's
keep
worth it.
hydrated.
Yes.
Never go alone if you can help it.
All of us, generally, either we help each other or handling ourselves, or we have dedicated people like Rory and Eric and other people to come along with us to make sure we're okay and crowds don't overwhelm us.
It's usually okay at furry cons because everyone has this understanding of what fursuits are. They seem to be a little foreign at anime cons or BronyCons. So people will see a fursuiter laying down at like a BronyCon, they'll think, oh, that's cute. FurCon, they might think, oh, that guy might need to get poked to make sure he's still breathing.
And this is a great slide right here. Is one of the, other than heat, the next biggest thing is vision. If you look at a lot of our heads here, we see out of the pupils of our eyes and the pupils of our eyes only, most of us. And what you see here on the slides is exactly what we would probably see. And we don't see you. We don't see little kids half the time because they are right underneath us. And so don't think we don't see you or we're ignoring you. A lot of times we don't know. I actually punched Brenda Critchlow's handler in the face a couple years ago as I was coming out of an elevator.
And
that was embarrassing.
also, what's worse about the vision is if you wear glasses, you pretty much have to ditch those. So that, with no glasses, and poor vision through the suit, you are pretty much blind.
Yes.
That too.
With pony suits, because of the way the heads are shaped, their heads are more off the side, you get better peripheral vision, but your stereoscopic vision is a little bit worse. We still can't see like here. Like my vision in Cyclone, it's about here to about here. So if you come up to this side, I'm not going to see you. And if you try to bro hoof me, I'm going to walk past you because I just...
It's also why a lot of us walk with our heads turned sideways. Okay. And the other things to consider, it's expensive. It can be expensive. It takes a lot of time. And yeah, so it can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. But the more you pay, the better it's going to look. So without further ado, let's actually get into the construction of these things. So the first topic we've got here is budget and planning. So the first thing you want to think about is if you just want a suit or do you want to make one? If you are thinking about commissions, I'm not going to touch on this too much, but if you would like a suit or would like to try it out or try one without actually making one, there's tons of makers out there on the internet, and if you want, you can talk to some of us up here. Some of us do commissions. We'd be more than happy to work with you. If you don't want to talk about it today, we've got our Facebook group here. If you just Facebook MLP Fursuiters, It's a closed group, just apply, we welcome everybody, we just keep it closed to filter out spam bots.
Another thing too, before we get too far into this, if you don't know if this is free or not, if you know someone who has a fursuit, see if maybe they'll let you try the head on, see if this, if you're comfortable with it, because you don't want to dump a whole lot of money into it if you decide I can't do this.
And a lot of people do that too.
Furries are very generous with sharing their fursuits with people who have never done it before.
We promise we wash them.
Yes.
Okay, so how much does this cost? Commission-wise, you'll pay anywhere from $1,200 to the sky's the limit, depending on some people out there. On average, it's about $1,500 to $2,000 for a full suit, maybe about $800 to $1,000 for a partial, maybe a little bit more, depending on how complex your character is. So with materials, so these are the basic materials.
One moment. Commissioning does cost that much, but that's what brings us to be in
Yes.
front of you. If you
Sorry.
build your own suit, I have seen people build theirs for under $300.
Yes.
Yes.
I have never spent over $500 building my suits. So that's, I imagine, why most of you are sitting in front of us now.
Yeah.
It's
And
much more.
Material
financial.
cost will always be the most expensive the first time you make a suit due to mistakes, which we'll cover later.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
We got this all covered. Okay.
I appreciate the questions, but we were just about to answer that.
Yeah.
So we got it. Don't worry.
We got you.
We got you, man.
Okay, so yeah, material cost, I usually spend the most on electronics or animatronics if I get into that. So the first thing you'll get into is foam. This is what you use to craft your body shaping and your head base. The two most common popular types of foam are EVA foam, which is on the top. And Steve here's got some examples. That's upholstery foam, the green one. EVA foam is the gray one. EVA foam is very dense, very hard, and you can heat shape it and get some really cool shapes with it. It's a little bit more expensive.
EVA foam is mostly found at hardware stores, at Home Depot, Menards. It's the energy absorbent floor mats.
So yeah, some of the people that
Big,
work there might also know it as anti-fatigue mat. If you ask for that, they might know where that is too.
So it's usually gray. Sometimes you get play set colored ones, but it's a dense
Sometimes
material.
it's rainbow
bendable.
colored.
If heat it, you can bend it or retain its shape, and you can hot glue it. The upholstery foam is exactly what your couch is made out of. So we kind of are wearing a part of a couch.
There's also white foam out there. It's a little softer, a little less dense.
You can get that at Joann or Michael's or
Yeah,
There's
quick
pretty much
disclaimer.
three
Quick
densities
disclaimer.
of it.
Do not take the foam out of your couch to make this.
Yeah. You can buy it in rolls. You can buy it in sheets. They'll cut it by the yard.
3 densities. The more solid density, the more shape it holds, but it doesn't flex as much. This stuff is obviously pretty ideal to use.
And if anybody knows a furniture store, you can sometimes get it for free because they throw this stuff out in bulk. I know a lot of people that take van loads of this stuff home, like professional makers. So yeah, so this is what you make your heads of and your padding and stuff for your legs and hooves and all that. All right, so fur. On the left here, we have short pile fur. And this is exactly what I use for Pinky and Echo here used. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. And your suits are short pile fur. It's the colors are harder to find than what you want in short pile fur, but they're out there, and it's usually called plush fur, plush fabric. And I'll let you guys talk to your long pile.
Short pile fur is typically 3/4 of an inch or less. Long pile starts at 1 inch and up. Pretty typically, the most common fur that you buy at fabric stores is 1.5 inches long, all the way up to 4 inches long. And the 4-inch long,
Sorry, I'm shedding.
yeah, that's pretty
It is
common
summer.
too.
I apologize.
I don't recommend building fursuits in your kitchen.
Yeah, don't do that. I did that once. That was a bad idea.
I still
I'm
do
still
that.
finding fur from.
That's the only place I have to make mine.
At the end, I've got a bunch of fur samples. I'll let you come up and touch it. Surprisingly, if you get a high-end quality fur, it almost feels real. It's pretty amazing how soft it feels.
And for those people out there that are knowledgeable of fabric, most fur is acrylic or motocrylic. So that means it doesn't dye very well until lately, and I'll get into that a little later.
Basically, it's plastic.
There's some
Yeah.
cool
Plastic fibers or poly.
just like cosplay wigs, actually. It's actually the same material. And the textures are all varying different textures. So okay, so some other fabrics. This is chiffon and buckram. These are two common fabrics that are used for eyes and seeing. So if you see there on the right, that's buckram. The majority of the suits up here use this for their actual pupils and eyes to see out of. We see out of grids. My fox head here, this is a resin mask, and I'll talk more about that later. I actually use chiffon for it. It's a little bit different. It's good for smaller pupils, but not good for bigger ones because you can see through it with light. And you've got some buckroom eye examples that we can show later. Yeah, like I said, you guys can come up here later and check some of this stuff out. We got to keep moving. All right, so some other materials. I kind of threw this in here. If you're doing any kind of tails, wings, or anything that requires some rigidity, PVC, copper wire, and the what's on the bottom is Delrin. Not many people here work with Delrin. I've got some. I play with it. It's great for long swishy tails to use because it's very flexible, very bendy, and you can heat form it really well. I didn't bring Pinky's massive tail, but I used PVC in there to hold her structure because it's like massive. And I use wire in my hooves. I don't know if anybody else up here uses anything like this.
I only use wire to make my wings.
Yeah,
to
I
build
have
the harness.
wire in my wings as well.
I use aluminum in my tails, but yeah.
And finally, just the miscellaneous stuff. Polyfill, our plush makers in here will be very familiar with this. We use this to stuff our manes and tails, and some people actually use this to stuff and make padding. If you're doing any shoes, if you're doing any kind of integrated hooves with shoes, which I do, I gotta have shoes. The plastic bowl or trash cans are great for making shiny eyes, and there's cool tutorials online on how to use that. And that's a great example. You cut the bowl out to the contour of an eye, and it comes out really white and shiny. You don't have to paint it. It's really nice. Foamies, craft foam in the bottom left there. Great example for making eyes, eyelashes, and really colorful stuff without having to paint. And the last I put is car tent, and that's what I use in Pinky's eyes, and I'll talk more about that later. Is there any other materials, guys, I might have missed?
Before we leave, are we still in budgeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Next thing is, so those are your basic materials. So you can start pricing those out, thinking, okay, how much foam do I need? How much fur do I need? So after you start getting schooled on the materials, the next thing you got is partial versus full. Steve, you can talk to this if you want.
Obviously, partial and full sounds just like what you're looking at on the screen. Partial is being a head, 2 paws or hooves on your arms, and then 2 on your feet. The benefits of that is you can just wear normal clothes. It's much cooler, easier to move around, and obviously cheaper. The full suit, though, gives you the full effect. You can shape, do digigrade, or what we use is called ugulate grade. Ugulate grade gives us the hoof shape, and that obviously you look like a full pony then. It's a little more dramatic and a lot more fun.
We got a great example of the jittered legs right over here as the unicorn, and that's all what you do with leg padding.
Want to stand up for 'em?
Yeah, that's a digitigrade look. So
Digigrade.
Digigrade. I call it digitigrade. So.
I think you're wrong.
Digigrade. I know I'm wrong. Anyway, partial versus full. Partials are great to start with, or you could go with it. My fox here is a partial. My Pinky's a full, and you could do a lot of cool things with partials.
So the other thing that's not really mentioned here is you can also do a half suit. The difference is that it's halfway between a partial and a full suit. Usually you do a chest or legs. You don't do both, and you cover whatever's not made with pants or a shirt. So that's another option as well.
You're up.
I'm up, okay, because I can't see the screens. So we're going to start with talking about, I guess, character design. You know, often, I mean, with this show in particular, too, it's like with however many, like, the main characters and the side characters and the background, and the background characters, where do I start? Typically, I mean, especially if this is your first suit, start simple, because a lot of the different species, like wings, you have to account for extra materials, you have to account for extra patterning for your fabric. We'll get into that later. But it's best to start simple, especially if this is your first suit, because you don't want to get into something that's basically like 2 colors here. This is easy, like, relatively speaking.
Rainbow Dash is a hard one to start with
Rainbow Dash is
first.
like the hardest one. Don't start with that one. Oh my gosh.
Do not do that.
Don't do Celestia for your
Don't be
first
like
one
me.
either. That would be really bad.
The other thing is more colors and more markings equals more money, because you need more materials to go into it.
Yeah,
Fur
you'll
is
need to
an
generally
action.
buy a whole yard of any color you need to add on your suit, because most stores won't sell half yards, and usually if they do, you're going to lose most of your fabric just from cutting. So
Also be aware that fur comes in limited colors, so you might have to compromise on accuracy, color accuracy. Like the biggest complaint that I've seen is Applejack. You have to use like this fluorescent orange because there is no mango color like the Minky or anything.
Scootaloo's bad too.
Yeah.
Notice the color of Flash Sentry. He's fluorescent yellow with an orange tint to it, but it is not that a mango orange color because it was discontinued when I located it.
Or Rainbow Dash here, this one's a darker blue. It's not the cyan like in the show. And it's fine because you can still obviously tell that this is Rainbow Dash. So don't be disappointed if you can't find your fabric color. You can work with that.
The really cool thing that actually just came out recently, probably within the last month, is RIT, which makes dyes, have just come out with a new synthetic dye that actually works on fur. And this is it's spreading like crazy in the furry fursuit community, because now we can legitimately dye our fabrics the colors we want. I got some, I tested it, it came out awesome. If you look at this head right here that I got for my fox, that is all hand painted with acrylic paint and water and a toothbrush. And if you turn it around, you can see all the different blends in there. Now I can actually legitimately dye that, and what took me a day and a half will take me probably 30 minutes.
You can find it at Hobby Lobby.
I wanted those colors.
This has been a big dilemma in the furry community for many years, not being able to dye.
I can't make my OC.
All right, references.
Always, 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 always do an orthographic drawing. And what that is just a basic drawing showing the front or the side or the back, because if you have a character that has a lot of markings, like Zakora has stripes, you want to make sure when you're cutting your fabric pieces that your stripes line up, and you can't do that if you don't know where they're supposed to line up on your body. And you don't have to be a good artist to make any of these things. You can either commission one, people do commissions for these, or you can doodle it yourself with pencil and paper or crayons, just so long as you have a general idea of where all your markings are supposed to be on your suit.
Even if your suit doesn't have markings, if they have a weird body shape like Flufflepuff, I could find hardly any references for her standing up. So if you need to just draw a picture as reference, go ahead. Doesn't matter, as long as it's something that you guys can work off of.
The more references you have, the easier this is going to be for you.
The biggest part I enjoy about references is just the outline shape. Trouble Shoes, he is this Colt Trouble Shoes. His head's like a football shape. So this is very distinct. This curve here, a little flat in the nose, and the under chin that curves up. Without that drawing, though, it's hard to duplicate three-dimensionally.
Steve made this head here just for all of you to show you this. And how long did it take you to do this?
Well, this is my third head, and I put him together in probably 3 to 4 days. I purposely unfinished him. Sorry, kids, I'm going to tear his face off.
And I encourage you.
So I left him unfinished. So
I encourage all of you
see what's
afterwards
going on
to come
underneath.
check this out, because this is a great example of an in-process construction in different phases. It's really cool. All right, so tools. So this is all the stuff that doesn't go on your suit, but you need to make it. And you will need a lot you might already have. And by the time you're done, you'll have enough. And this is why your first suit can cost so much money the first time. Because you're like, oh, I need hot glue. Oh, I need adhesive. Oh, I need a sewing machine. Oh yeah. So adhesives. We all use different adhesives up here. I mainly use spray adhesive and hot glue. I know you use some JB Weld.
Yeah, it's mainly to keep the eyelashes on, because hot glue is very hard to use on something like foamies, just for the eyelashes.
And contact cement, I know some people use it on EVA foam. It holds a lot better, but you need to be well ventilated, and it can be pretty messy, but it bonds amazingly. Cutting tools, X-Acto knives for foam and foamies, box cutters, and rotary cutters. Please do not use scissors for your fur. A lot of people don't know this, but when you cut fur with scissors, you cut it flat. And when you do that, you cut the backing as well as all the fur pile. So what happens is if you've got 4-inch fur and you cut it right on the backing, you lose all of your dangle. And that dangle is what hides your seams and other things too. And it just doesn't look right. If you cut it with a flat blade on the back, the blade will cut the backing, but it will not cut the fur generally, unless you're just like massively digging into it. So yeah, never, ever use that. And you won't have fur all over your house either if you do it that way.
Go slowly, go carefully, do not cut
Yes.
yourself.
Yes, Judson, no scissors. Sewing, hand sewing, sewing machine. Pretty self-explanatory. We're not going to get into sewing techniques. That's a whole freaking
There's
panel.
plenty of
itself.
videos on YouTube that you can watch. That's how I learned how to sew.
That's
I learned how
how-
to sew just to
yeah.
make fursuits.
I think that's how most of us learn.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't sew a year ago.
And you could also take sewing classes at Joann's or Michael's or any other craft shop.
Yeah, they're usually pretty cheap too.
This is where the plush makers in the crowd have a leg up on us.
There are people that, there's a Case Ace over here, this Griffin, that is a hand sewn fursuit. How long did that take you, Brad?
Took me about 3 weeks.
3 weeks to hand sew.
Yeah.
I can put my bodysuits together in probably 3 days.
Fluffle Puff is all hand sewn as well. Don't do it, you will cry. Please take lessons.
My first pinky bodysuit that I debuted here at the first BronyCon in Baltimore was 90% hand sewn by 3 people at the same time, and it took probably 10 hours straight because you have to heavily reinforce it. My new suit, I did it in probably 4 hours sewing by myself on a machine, and that include cutting. All right,
Best place to get sewing machines, eBay. I bought mine for $50. It's a mid-90s Singer, cast iron base, plows through 4 layers of fur. Yard sales and garage sales are a great place to get them for $20 and less.
Also, ask your family. I had bought a sewing machine and then realized, like right after, that my family had a perfectly good sewing machine that I could have used for free.
Grandmas are great for this.
Grandparents, aunts, uncles, someone in your family has one, just ask them to send it to you. They're not using it, and clearly your suit is more important. It really is.
Okay, I'm not going to touch too much on electrical because it can get really complex. Wire cutters, wire strippers, and fans. Fans. Yes, if you don't know how to do electrical, have somebody teach you and do it, or do some tutorials online before you try to do it on your suit. It can be dangerous, it can cause a fire. Please be safe when you're dealing with electrical.
I've built 3 heads. I have 2 fans, each one, 6 fans. I've never bought one. Find an old computer, pull out there's 2 cooling fans in there, a big one and a small one. They're usually 12-volt fans. They work wonderful.
Other tools and supplies, just some duct tape. Always have duct tape. Measuring stuff, and this may or may not apply. I never had to use it on a pony suit yet, but I had to do it on my fox. I know Steve likes to shave, but pet clippers. Get high quality, not ultra expensive, but good high quality. Shave your pony. Shave your pony.
Yeah.
We'll get
So
to that.
on the note of clippers, don't use human hair trippers. They're not powerful enough to cut through fur. So you need to get a pet trimmer from PetSmart.
Unless you're Fluffle Puff, then you don't really have to shave.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little
It
bit.
really doesn't matter. There's some cool tutorials online that show you this, and they'll show you the difference between an unshaved head and a shaved head. It's like night and day, the quality that it looks like. All right, so let's build one of these things.
And just one thing before we leave budget, coupons are your friend. It'll help you save a lot of money, and Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, Hancock Fabrics, they usually have 40 to 60% off of fabric and whatnot.
Amazon Prime is also your friend. If you order online, don't forget about shipping costs because that adds up.
Yes, pay attention to shipping costs when you buy fur. Try to buy all your fur at once. Fur weighs a lot when you ship it, and you'll use about 5 yards for a bodysuit if you're a normal or large person like we are. Yeah, you're going to need a lot. Buy it in bulk as much as you can. You'll save on shipping.
And buy extra fur, because if you mess up and make a mistake, you want to make sure that the fur you get is from the same dye lot. Some furs are very hard to match. Blue and gray are 2 of them, and I have a gray suit, so I would be in trouble if I ran out.
We got 15 minutes left before Q&A. All right, so let's build a head.
All right, can we go back one section? I just want to we're going to spend most of the time talking about constructing the head. The bodysuit is actually much easier. It looks more dramatic, and there's more to it. But the head, let's be honest, we're sculpting. It's a sculpture. It's an additive and subtractive sculpture at the same time. You're making art. If you've never done a sculpture, I never have, there's ways to figure it out. But there are the key points we need to hit on are how to do the eyes, the structure, the head base, the main ears, and
Mouth and muzzle.
mouth and muzzle. So, first thing we're going to start with is head base, is how do you get this thing to sit on your head? Some people will use what's called a Toki Riatal pattern. Do we have that website at all?
We got an example right here.
Oh, perfect. Toki Riatal pattern, it's just EVA foam. You go to the website, they give you a printout. You print it out. You lay it over the top of your EVA foam. You cut it out. You glue it together like a big 3-dimensional puzzle. Once you do that, it gives you the pony shape. You can modify it slightly, add things to it to make it a male pony or a different head shape. So that's one great option. If you're scared of the idea of sculpting something from nothing, that is just glue the lines together and you get a pony shape.
Yeah, and the pinky that won the fursuit contest yesterday was made by this man here, and this is his this is his modified base of that. So
Yeah, it's a lot used and it works really wonderful.
well, half the suit was made by him. The suit was made by you. The props were made by him.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Another way to do it is, there's two other ways to do it, is balaclava bases. Pretty much. Pretty much ski masks. They're neoprene, polyester. You would not glue it to your head, but you'd put a mask on like this on a head base. You'd glue all the foam and fur to it and construct from pretty much this as your starting point.
I recommend you rip it out when you're done so you can wash it, or it'll get really funky.
Third way to do it is build yourself. This is just a fabric cloth. It's just plastic. You can construct, if you want to get experimental with engineering, some sort of base. The muzzle's going to be glued here. The idea to this is it contacts less of your face. You get more breathing room, less foam touching your head, and it's just a different option.
I don't recommend starting with that one. It can be a little tricky.
Yeah, it's a little tricky, but if you're willing to challenge yourself, it's wrap plastic around your head and glue it. Don't glue it to your head.
Yeah, never glue anything like
Hot
directly
glue.
to
This
your
is all
head.
hot glue
Don't do
and
that.
plastic cloth.
Burns are bad.
Safety first, kids. Okay, foam. Once you do get some sort of base, balaclava, the Tokyo Riedel, or a plastic mesh, you're going to glue foam. Spray glue, hot glue, you're going to cut it. You're going to put blocks on there. You're going to draw on it. Draw the shape. You're going to hold paper up to it. Whatever works for you. There's many ways. There's really no wrong way to do this. I think everybody builds and sculpts their heads differently.
Yes.
But it's this. Here, hand me that. But this is entirely on top of the plastic mesh. It's upholstery foam. Different shapes, different cuts. You use scissors to round it. You can use turkey cutters, are wonderful for cutting this
In bulk. Yeah. Turkey cutters are great for cutting off large hunks. Scissors are great for details.
Yeah, I've used scissors. I put a big block on his nose and I just took the turkey carver and cut right down to make his snout here. Turkey carvers, you can get them at thrift shops. They're usually $5 or less around Thanksgiving. So you build the shape up, you get the shape you want, and what do we got next?
All right. So this is one type of head. Probably the most common type is upholstery foam and foam. They're very soft. They're very squishy. And
They're pretty durable.
They're cheap and easy to work with.
You
So
can
then the
fall
other
on it
type
and put
was-
things on it.
Yeah. The other type was EVA, which we already talked about. Yeah, okay. The third type, we got to move a little faster. So third type is vacuum formed. These are probably the most complex. One of the more popular makers, Adelon, you'll see a lot of these heads around. They're completely sealed, completely plastic, require complex machinery, mostly for mass producing. Is that an Adelon head? Yeah. Okay.
They're open on the inside, so there's lots of airspace in there. They're probably one of the most comfortable to wear, I would imagine.
And a fourth type is a resin base, and these are more on realistic suits. I know this is kind of a creepy picture. This was my fox base that I tried. I wanted to build resin. There are some pony resin masks out there. These are half masks, and you wear them with elastic. A lot more work into it than what it looks like, but I think it's pretty cool. So. All right, ventilation. We'll move through this pretty quickly because we got to make up some time.
Put holes in your head, as many as possible. It won't affect the outside look of it, but to get heat out is important. This is almost 6 layers of foam. I can stick my finger all the way in there to my head. Getting heat out is really important. Fans, we said use the fans, put them in, people like to put them on top, pointing at their face, right in front of the mouth to get rid of the carbon monoxide,
Yeah.
or on the back of your head, pulling heat out.
Vent up and back, pull in. And it's much more comfortable when you got cold air blowing on your face and your heat going out the top of your head. You don't need to put heat fans out. You can, it helps, but passive is just fine. Patterning. This is a whole nother panel in itself almost.
Yeah, this is probably the most difficult part. The easiest way we do it is we make duct tape, or masking tape patterns. Once you get your head shape, you're happy with it, you literally are going to place tape right over the foam. This one's obviously for the brown. You put tape on there, you draw the lines right on top where you think they should belong. That is a whole art in itself. Where do your seams belong? Try to hide them in cracks or crevices between ears, underneath the muzzles. The less seams, the better, the easier. Here we've got a seam right here at the ear. Once you have your tape, you pull it off. You can lay this right on top of your fabric. You trace it out, add usually 1/8 to 5/8 of an inch for your seam. And that's how we get our patterns. You pretty much create them yourself.
Mark your fur direction, mark your colors.
Yes, fur only goes in one direction on an animal. It starts from the nose and it goes straight back. If you're putting the fur like down, that's wrong. You don't.
And
So
the-
it goes straight back, down the body, down the arms.
And the last thing you want to do is mix up your fur directions. You'll be cussing.
It'll look weird if fur's going opposite ways.
The internet
I
will
definitely
know.
called my dog over and started looking at her face and pulling on her ears and, oh, that's how it works.
References.
All right, so furring. You got a perfect
Okay,
furring
you take
example.
that, as I said, you lay it on top of your fur, you cut the piece out, and that's how you get these complex shapes.
Flat blades.
Flat blades from the back. Look up darting on YouTube if you don't know what that is. It's a sewing term. It's a sewing option. Darting is the only way you're going to get a flat piece of fabric around a curved shape. His snout right here. You can see all these little black marks here. These are all darts. They're basically triangles cut out to get the fabric to wrap around a curve. Without darting, it's not going to work.
Unless you're this guy, he's a freaking wizard. He can.
Short pile, you can stretch a little bit more, and he does not dark, but he makes awesome sense.
I don't know how this guy does it, but he can just stretch it over the entire head in like 1 or 2 seams.
Some fur
There's
does
only
have
two
a
seams.
multi-direction stretch to it. Not all of it does, though. Most fur does not stretch at
A
all.
better example is actually the adult lion heads because there's only one seam on those and it's underneath the muzzle.
If you're a wizard, use your powers. Eyes. There's so many different ways to do eyes.
Eyes, I think pretty much everybody here starts with some sort of plastic base to make the eyes. When you come up later, I've got all sorts of examples, but the plastic bowls you get at dollar stores. You cut out, they got a little curve to it. Some are plastic and flat, and then when you glue it to the head, it becomes a little bit curved. You can use vinyl to color it, as vinyl sticker, paints, acrylic paints, marker. You can make it multi-layered to create irises and different colored eyes. And then we like to finish off with craft foam, foamies. The buckram again, the buckram comes white. Once you paint it, put marker on it, turn it black, take the white away from the back. You can't see through it, but I can see through it pretty decently.
It's very deceptive. It's very deceptive. I actually experimented recently with a new kind of eye for me. Pinky used to have buckram eyes, but this year, this is the second time I've worn it. I've actually doing kind of what they call the Japanese style. And these eyes are completely sealed pockets of multiple layers of plastic, car tint, and vinyl on the top. And it gives a very shiny sheen effect. The best thing about it is, though, it uses car tint for the pupils, so nobody can see in. I can see out, and it is like crystal clear because I'm not looking through a grid. It's a little bit more expensive. It's a lot more work, and you have to have really good ventilation or else they fog up. I actually got my first fogging last night at the rave.
It was
But
very
she's
hot.
still decked out in her rave gear, so. You can talk, man. Okay, yeah, okay. Mouth and muzzle, yeah, we gotta keep going, so.
Yeah, just say it.
We're gonna skip over this. Mouth and muzzle, give them a smile, give them a mouth.
Make them look happy.
Craft foam for the ponies.
Many different ways.
In the furry phantom, there's a lot more involved in the mouth, teeth, tongue, gums.
Yeah.
Moving
Ponies,
toes, don't
craft
do that.
smile.
If you wanna
Make
see a
'em
really
happy.
creepy mouth, come look at this guy later. Manes and tails, they all go to hand in hand. There's plush style, which a lot of us have plush style. There's some suits up here in the crowd that have more just long pile fur style. There's, again,
That
nothing.
tail's a long wig.
This is
combed out.
easy stuff in the end compared to the.
People use
the
wig hair, they use brushed yarn for their hair. You can do all kinds of stuff.
Otherwise, most of the tails are just a long pile plush, 4.5 or 4-inch fur over foam.
Or polyfill.
Ears, most of us typically sculpt our ears on and we add them on separately later. You could have them attached to your foam base. It's easier to kind of sculpt them separate and then attach them later because you can shape them and manipulate them.
Some people use the EVA. They can curve and glue it together and make a little bit more durable ear.
All right, let's jump into the bodysuit construction. So I want to get to some Q&A here. All right, bodysuit. One of the best things to do for a bodysuit, if you've never heard of a duct tape dummy, make a duct tape dummy. All you need is a couple rolls of duct tape,
Lots
a
of friends.
friend you really trust, and some scissors. So all of us here, or most of us here, have got some of our duct tape pictures up here.
And you will get made fun of
Yeah,
during
there's
this process.
Steve here.
We
There's
put the
Judson
most
here,
embarrassing ones we could find. They're not
There's
flattering.
that guy.
whoever that is.
Yeah. And there's me.
This is a really integral step you almost cannot skip, having a pattern of yourself.
And there's our cameraman wherever.
Chances are, if there's a furry community nearby, there is somebody else that also needs a duct tape dummy, and you could both do it together or get 3 or 4 done at once. If you have like a couple helpers, it'll take you like 20 minutes.
All a duct tape dummy is a dress form of you that you can build your body on without doing it on you. Now, some people do it on them, and that's okay. But if you're gimped like me, I can't work on myself.
You will need a duct tape dummy if you plan to commission. They won't build with just
Yeah.
measurements. You will need to send them a physical thing. Ultimately, you're trying to make these kinds of patterns, which they can translate onto fur to make your cuts.
So basically the same procedure we did on the head. We're taping ourselves up, or we're taping the dummy up, where you put the hooves on, you tape it up, you got a pattern now.
Hand hooves, feet hooves, hocks, and thighs. This is usually where we get back to our EVA foam or upholstery foam. Use your duct tape dummy. You carve your foam on your dummy to the shape that you want using your reference images. And there's many different ways to do this too. I build my boots. I actually have boots integrated into my hooves, and my bodysuit rolls down over top of them. This guy here has simple little sandals that he made, or even more bigger ones.
These are my feet. It's my hands. They come out so I can wash the suit. All my foam is removable, but you can build it right in as long as you dry your fur properly. It's fine. And then inside, you can see that there's a sandal in there.
Come check these out later if you want some more details.
You can make them as big and as elaborate as you want. Mine are actually 2 5-inch blocks glued together. So I got 10 inches of foam that come all the way up to my hook. So this is all one piece of foam here. That's a little bit simpler.
Yep. Okay, so bodysuit patterning, there's many different ways to actually cut out and pattern your bodysuit. It really depends on how many seams you want, how complex you want it to be. Typically you do it in the jumpsuit style, that's what most of us do. A zipper in the front or back. And then a great thing here is if you're getting into this and you're new to sewing and you're new to all this, there's a McCall's pattern or any other pattern maker out there. They have animal costume character suits or jumpsuits. Get those as a base and they'll teach you a lot of stuff and you can tailor them to fit you. Again, sewing is a whole nother panel in itself. Zippers, front, back, hidden, visible. I highly recommend use large plastic zippers, small metal ones.
Sports zippers, not invisible zippers.
Yeah.
Metal gets entangled more. Large argument, front or back, your personal choice. Guys like the front because we can unzip it and use the toilet.
You can also unzip by yourself. If you have a back zipper, if you have a problem with your zipper, you might be trapped. And you'll have to accept your fate.
Especially if you don't have a way to get your hands out of your hooves.
Yeah, if you have a back zipper, don't try to change without a handler.
If you have short pile fur, you can get away with a small metal zipper. Pinky's actually works okay. I tried that on him. Nope, didn't work.
Yeah, my zipper always jams.
The obvious thing, the fur just gets caught in the zipper
Yeah.
and it stops.
Rip it out, unzip it, it's fine.
Sewing the suit, again, the good body pattern here from like McCall's will show you the sewing order. Everybody here sews their suits in a different way. Your ultimate goal is you sew the suit up just to get all the pieces together. I usually sew all the front, all the back, and then I sew the front and back together. But I know everybody here does it in a different way. It doesn't matter as long as you get it all together.
Yeah,
As long as
sew
it
it a
looks
little
good.
big too so you can tailor it down.
Yep. Better to be too big than too small. Judson. No, you're small suits. I was just.
Oh, yeah.
Tails, wings, and horn. This kind of goes back to the mane. You build them the same way you style out your mane for your hair, pretty much.
More foam, more tape patterns, more fur.
Plush style is a great way to start with. Car foam, stick fur on it.
For the most part, you just attach them to belts underneath the suit so that it's not attached to the suit, so you can wash the bodysuit separate from the tail.
Yeah, you sew belt loops onto your tail. There's great tutorials online how to do it. It's very simple. And cutie marks. Most of us use embroidered cutie marks, I believe.
Judson makes really good
Yeah.
embroidered cutie
My
marks.
mom will do
Mine.
embroidered cutie marks. If you guys have a request, just contact me.
Embroidered cutie marks look fantastic because they blend great with the foam. There are different ways to do it, of course. So whatever works for you, whatever works for your budget, go for it. My first set of cutie marks were felt heat pressed onto my fur, and then I went from there to embroidered.
Yeah, I think most people will probably just use felt. It's much easier to just do it like that if you just have a one-color cutie mark, such as myself or like Octavia. Then you just hand sew it on.
Yeah, stabilizer or and felt. It does just a good job, just not as durable and sharp.
All right, so with that said, you are going to make mistakes. You're going to make lots of mistakes. If you use short pile fur and you make sewing mistakes, they will be more visible. If you use long pile fur and you make sewing mistakes,
No one sees it.
They can be hidden really well. So long pile is kind of great to start with. If
You don't
learning.
want to see the seams and flash my first suit. They're
Exactly.
pretty horrible,
No,
but you
fluff
can't.
off is worse, I promise. They're like glued and some are just, it's bad.
For my second suit, Sombra, I made 3 sets of eyes, 2 sets of ears, 6 mouths, 4 nostrils. Just keep doing it until you're happy.
Yes.
Yeah, I
and
can't count the number of times I had to restart on Cyclone. It's ridiculous.
I had to make
It happens.
4 heads in order to get an actual good-looking head due to all the mistakes I made.
Yeah, we have 15. They're keeping me. I made several sets of eyes for Pinky's fursuit's eyes. I know I went through a lot of eyes once. Yeah, buy extra materials, lots for your first time. Don't go too overboard where it pushes you out of your budget, though. Definitely get more fur, though, because that's shipping time, that's time, and shipping costs and money, and you don't want to be sitting there waiting on fur to arrive.
And if you make a mistake and it frustrates you or stresses you out, take a break for like 15 minutes, go do something.
A day.
And and just let your mind cool off, and eventually you'll think of something on how to fix whatever mistake you might have.
Don't be afraid to ask for second opinions as well. If you have friends that make fursuits, hey, what am I doing wrong? What's going on? Oh, well, I haven't been staring at it for 12 hours, and I can see that you just did this.
Order swatches of test fabric. Most of them are free. Some are a couple bucks. These fabric places will love to give you free stuff, so you buy lots of stuff from
For
them.
typically $1, you want to get multiple at once, so you're only paying shipping once. I think I bought 20 different fur pieces the first time I was doing it.
Nothing is more frustrating than
gotta
getting
see
5
the
yards of
color,
fur
it's
that
important.
sucks.
Yeah, always check your fur when you get it too. Don't wait like 3 months when you can't return it.
Also recommend buying all the fur at once. If you get fur at different times, it could be a different batch from China, and it could be a different shade. It might be a little bit colored off. How much fur would you expect to use? 5 to 6 yards is average. Depends on how tall you are.
Heads are around 1 to 1.5. Body suits are around 5. It depends on how many markings you got, but if you've got a solid color, I usually use about 5 and 1 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I ran pretty close to 6 yards. I bought 6, and I used almost my whole roll to make this. But I've got a lot of padding, and like I said, with fur, because you can only cut one direction, you waste like 30% of your fur is wasted.
Laying out your pattern on your fur roll is an art in itself. And
Fur direction.
Fur direction.
That's
you
the
can
key.
only
Fur
you can only lay it one way. So, all right. With that said, we're kind of at the end of this. I know we kind of skipped through a lot of that fast, but we're now open to Q&A. Ask anything. Ask everything.
And feel free to come up and check
Yeah,
out
and if you
our
want to
stuff
come up
for
and check
examples.
something out, come up on this side. And if you want to look at something, and if you want to ask some questions, come up over here.
If you have a question, you can come and stand
You're
up
welcome
on
to
this
touch
mic,
any of
or
the
I can come
heads.
to
Just
you
please don't
and-
put them on.
You don't want to put them on.
Don't
trust
pick
me.
them up either. Just,
Hello, my name's Jacob Hebel, and I'm asking, when you make the head, would you recommend using like the heated wire, that machine, that like little tool that heats up wire to cut the foam by burning it?
I personally wouldn't, because
No.
you're gonna run into, you get fumes, and that can be, you don't want to be breathing that in. That's
Yeah,
dangerous.
that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dang it. What challenges do you think would be associated with quad suiting?
That is a whole nother story.
Yeah, I missed the first part. I heard quad suiting and I cringed a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Challenges associated with?
Okay, the biggest challenges associated with quad suiting is posture. I'm actually going to attempt to make one, but the biggest thing is posture and actually getting the 4 legs to work how you want them to. There's many, many, many different ways people do quad suits, and it all comes down to how you want to walk in it, how you want to present yourself. But most of the time, you've got yourself on hand stilts, and you use your hand stilts to give you a little bit more comfort, so you're not like looking like this the whole time. But most of the time, you're wearing your head on top of your head. So you've got the posture of being on all fours, you've got the weight pushing down on your head, and then you've got the entire body around you, and it is a very, very, very taxing thing. I'm going to delve into it a little bit on my next project, but I recommend not starting there because it is a very difficult thing to do. There's not a lot of examples of it. With that said, I've seen some amazing quad suits out there. One of the ones I'm using as an example is a hyena, and I don't remember her name exactly, but it came out really, really, really nice. But yeah, search around for that if you're interested in quad suits. None of us here, I don't think, have ever made one.
I am in the progress of one, and it is terrible. It is a giant monster, and I hate it. The only thing I'd say, the best persons for reference, look up Beast Cub. She has great quad suits, dragons, all sorts of things.
We need to move the questions on, so sorry. Thank you, though.
Hi, I'm trying to get ready to make my first fursuit. I am an experienced seamstress. So when you're doing the patterning, is there a website that I can get an idea how to hand draw the patterning for the head specifically?
If you go to our Facebook group, we will gladly help you, show you some stuff. I got something I could probably send you that helped me with the complexities of my resin mask.
Okay.
Hit up our Facebook group, MLP Fursuiters, ask the question there, and we will be more than happy to help you.
We can be more in-depth on the website than we ever can be in the panel.
But you're right, that is the hardest thing to find.
The hardest thing, I think, is going to be the head construction.
Yeah.
It'll actually be more easier than you think.
Okay.
The patterning is honestly, if you're an experienced seamstress, I think you'll figure it out very fast.
Yeah, that's how I learned. I learned through plush making, and it's actually not that difficult because I treated it like a big plush.
Yeah, fursuit sewing is actually deceptively easy. I mean, I learned everything on the internet by watching a couple of videos and 10 minutes practice on a sewing machine. So if you know what you're doing, you'll be great.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your question.
Good luck too, by the way.
I'm looking to make a fairly large fursuit. It's going to have a giant head, and I'm having some trouble with the head. Basically, it's almost centaur-like. I've made a wire frame with foam around the body, fur around it, that goes back, and then the back legs are back here, and then there's a PVC frame inside of that, and it hooks up to a hiking backpack.
Yeah.
All right, so now I need a head for it. I bought 3-inch, I figured I needed bigger because it was a bigger head, 3-inch foam. Well, and then I glued it all together because that's what everyone told me to do. When I got it together, I'm working on it, I'm doing all my work, the whole thing sprung open.
Oh boy.
Just over a few days, sprung open. So I've started sewing it back together, but is that my best option or should I be doing something else?
So check around because I'm from California and we actually have a big foam store and they will sell you a big block of foam that you can actually just carve into like a sphere. So see if you can find someplace like that. They'll even do the cut for your head, so you don't even have to do that. But it's like a big solid block. They'll cut a hole for your head. They'll give you the plug, and you just have this big block you can start with.
And if you join the Facebook group, we can be more. We can give you more helpful.
Another example there. Use EVA foam with contact cement. It'll bond. It'll work better than.
Yeah, it's more rigid.
Yeah.
Also, use multiple layers of smaller foam. It'll hold much better. I know working from 2-inch foam, that trying to glue it, sometimes it has a tendency to want to not be together. Use 1-inch or 2-inch foam, and then just do multiple layers.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I work.
Oh, we need you
a little closer, please.
I work in a historic site, so I'm out in the heat and in 160-degree temperatures a lot. So therefore, we have ice vests and ice things underneath the.
This guy right here.
Is that something that would be that anyone you would use or you would suggest to use underneath your costume?
We do. Some of us do use ice packs. This guy right here in the blue, Eric.
Yes.
He bought an ice pack for him. The thing is, the ice packs melt so fast, so unless you have like a cooler with you to keep the ice fresh to where you can constantly switch them out, many of us, we got fans in our head to keep the cooling, but nothing on our body.
But nothing on your body.
One of the things about the body is when it warms up, it turns into warm water on your body. It's better, honestly, in my opinion, it's better just to get used to it and deal with the body heat because it adds weight, it adds some, but for some people it does work, but I don't. A lot of us don't really use it.
After 45 minutes last night at BronyPalooza, I was basically wearing a bag of warm hot chocolate. It was not helping.
Yeah, as I said, suits
Yeah.
can get up to 130 degrees, so if you put ice in there, it's going to melt pretty quick. And if you're at a con, it'll only last you the first day, if you're lucky.
I asked that everyone looking at the heads and stuff up front, be careful, but try to move a little quicker. We got a long line.
Yeah, and if you want, you can meet us in the hallway, and
Yes.
we will be glad to talk to you and show you our stuff.
For those who don't get to it, if you get kicked out, we'll be out in the side hall here.
Yeah,
so
we don't
can-
have to stop the
Alright,
panel, we just can't stay here.
next-
so we'll
next
move
question, please.
elsewhere. We'll take stuff with us.
What is the best way for, like, you know, when you're actually washing the suit and for transporting it?
Ooh.
Transporting, most of us use big containers, and if you, big containers, duffel bags, if you're flying, containers. Washing, you can either hand wash it with soap, or if you have a detachable tail and whatnot, you should be able to put it in the washing machine. Never put it in the dryer, though. Hang dry it for air. With air.
Don't put your fursuit body in a dryer because it's plastic and plastic melts in heat. I have heard many horror stories from people who have tried that. You will lose your bodysuit. You cannot get it back after that. Also, for transporting it, fun fact, Southwest lets you check 2 bags. Medium-sized action packers fly free on Southwest if you're ever flying.
Thank you very much for your question. Next question.
All right, so 2 things. First, you guys said that you typically craft ears separately and then attach them. What's the best method for attaching the ears onto your head?
What was that? Attaching what to what?
Attaching ears to the head.
Attaching the ears onto the head.
I actually hand sew mine with a ladder stitch or a hidden stitch. That to me, that's the best way. I usually I fur the head, I fur the ears, and then I attach them on. My fox was a little bit different. I actually made a pocket in the pattern, and I shoved it up through the pocket and sewed it on through the back with a normal stitch. But they're permanently adhered to the head now. What's cool is if you screw up your ears and you want to change the shape or change the color or texture, you can just rip that seam out, reattach them, and you're good to go again. So I don't know if anybody else has done them differently.
I pin mine on and just hot glue it later. For Flufflepuff, I like they give a little bit of wiggle when you're walking around, but that's honestly up to you if you want them perfectly straight and not moving.
Yeah, I just glue the foam directly on before I fur, and I fur around the ears, and then I actually carve my ears once they've been attached, because I prefer that style better than trying to fold foam.
Yeah, no wrong way there.
Yeah, there's no wrong way to build a fursuit. You can see we have a dozen different suits and a dozen different styles. You really can't make a wrong fursuit. You know, make your own style. Have fun.
And the second thing was, Steve knows, Amber knows, Naki knows, Heather knows. I'm an awesome spotter. Just for new spotters in the crowd, potentially, any tips?
Oh, for handlers?
Yes.
Carry water.
Yeah, carry water. Keep in mind their vision limitations, and make sure that here's my biggest pet peeve and my handler's pet peeves. When people want to take pictures, make sure you don't block aisles.
Yeah,
it's
and
really difficult to do.
And it helps if you can form a line. And keep in mind when you're in costume, technically you're not supposed to talk, but if you can do hand motions for your handler and learn from that way, they can tell you what you need while being quiet as well.
Yeah, with handlers,
I talk
also,
all the time.
Yeah, with handlers also, please talk very loudly to us, because sometimes it's hard to hear, and I feel bad because people are over here Fluttershy trying to talk to us really quietly, and it's
Yeah.
wait, what? I can't hear you.
Keep your suitors moving, because if you bring suitors to BronyCon, they're going to get stopped every few feet, and if you're trying to get to the dance, that's going to be a 6-hour journey. Just keep it moving. Sorry, if people don't get their pictures, that's just how it is, you know. Don't be afraid to be a little rude to some people. We got to keep them moving. They got to keep moving, get air.
Yeah.
Don't let them stay still for an hour just getting pictures, because they're going to start sweating really bad.
Awesome, thanks guys.
All right, guys, we
Good
got
luck.
1 minute left for everybody in line. And if you all are interested in this or thinking about it or got any questions you couldn't get to or think of today, please just join our group. It says it's closed. Don't worry about it. We will gladly welcome you there.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. This was awesome. This was all our first panel, so I hope you guys all enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And thank you, all of my awesome panelists that were here with me.
And for our awesome cameraman.
Oh, there he is.